Yeah.
And these tools are the interactive design, interactive media, gamification used for building the soul, building the temple.
So tell us how it actually works.
So when you go to church on Sunday,
Yes.
you meet with other believers, you
Yeah.
have a great time, you get a word, you get a sermon, you hear some music, maybe you go to Bible study and get a word that expands upon that word
Sure.
on Wednesday. Maybe you don't. Sometimes Bible study is just different. But what about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Right.
So our framework, number one, gives the end user or the consumer emotional intelligence capacity, because we grow up in a world that doesn't want you to know how you feel, because if people really knew how they felt based on how we live, we would have more, and this is a trigger warning, we have more Anthony Bourdains and Robin Williams. It is to the benefit of certain systems that people are numb, that they don't have as clear vision, that they don't have the Holy Spirit on the inside of them directing them right, left, so forth, and really feeling. So one is called immersive media.
Okay,
so
sure.
you're already present.
Yeah.
It's like that's the main thing, like presence.
Yeah.
Because once you're present, once you're not in your head overthinking and you're actually filtering things straight through to your soul and letting the spirit move you and motivate you, then it becomes a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Then you're not following what culture told you how to respond to something, or what your parents taught you how to respond to something. It's like, no, how does God want you to respond to this? So what we do is we put people in experiences that give them emotional intelligence, the one help them really examine their own heart space. How am I actually feeling? That's that truth.
Yeah.
They shall worship us by spirit and truth. Now, once you have the truth, you can do what you want with the truth. But we want you to times the truth by spirit,
Yeah.
not by culture. Or, you can take any scenario,
Sure.
and a person can decide to go left, right, so forth. So what's the scenario? What's the decision that moves you closer to God, closer to love?
Yeah.
And so we take you through a process, whereas like they call it on rails. Like a movie's always going to end the same way, no matter what. Sometimes you might get a DVD that might have the director's cut, so you might get the alternative ending. In gamified media, it can have multiple endings. So if your sermon's always going to end the same way, but now I have the capacity to take that sermon and have your parishioners either experience that same sermon with a headset on or in the 2D on their mobile device or whatever,
Sure.
making decisions
Yeah.
based on that sermon,
Yeah.
feeling things
Yeah.
based on interacting with that sermon, it's gonna resonate.
Because it'll produce a different outcome based on how they're
How
responding.
they are responding.
So it's individualizing it to a higher degree. If I'm teaching in a broad room, like I've only got so much I can do. It's going to be broad, but the level of specificity now with this technology allows for them to have much more of a personal experience with the information and what's being given.
I really have been looking at this as something that God has really been talking to me about, new covenant apostles.
Say more about that. Yeah.
Our current apostles today build churches and build church communities.
Sure.
And they are doing that in many different ways.
Yeah.
New covenant apostles are building temples in hearts and minds.
I think I know what you're about
Hebrews
to say.
10:16.
Yes.
I will write my law on their minds and on their hearts. If I talk to you right now about your favorite movie as a kid, you could tell me all the things you could recall. You would have to see.
Absolutely.
You recall what scenes you love, what outfits,
Yeah.
where you first saw. Like some people are obsessed with like the Batmobile
Yeah.
or like the what's that Back to the Future car,
Yep,
things
yep.
like that.
The DeLorean.
Exactly. Those things change people's mind. You ask
Yeah.
people about sermons in that way, you may or may not get how that influenced them to make a decision in their life.
Okay.
But when you write it in their heart, when you write the word in their heart and in their mind, when you really create this temple of keepsake on the inside, it can never leave them. Then we really have Emmanuel. Then it's really like when I am deciding where I'm going, I didn't know that God cared about what college I was going to.
Sure.
I didn't know that God cared about where I worked. I didn't know God cared about whether or not I was going to show up I do now, but this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether or not God cared about my everyday decisions, but he really does. And you really don't have to walk it out alone.
So these new apostles, in your mind, are now in the...
Are like Philip in Acts 8.
Okay.
They're shepherding one-on-one.
Come alongside.
This technology helps us open the doors of the church so that now we can help people decipher and interpret one-on-one which scriptures relate to them. And not just one-on-one which relates to you because you just want to go and buy this Porsche this weekend.
Sure.
But in connection to what is going on, what your pastor is sensing for the larger body, the larger community in your area, your local Bible, as Joel Austin, make sure you go to a local Bible-based church.
But this is now a virtual spiritual formation coach.
Yes.
Someone who
Advisors are what we call them.
Advisor that comes alongside, but through the means of this technology. So when you've been sent to the one, really you're being sent to create a platform that allows for people to go one-on-one through this mechanism.